Hey, what's up, everyone? Today is July 22nd, 2024, and I am here on the Dattie podcast with Alex Corona. What's up, Alex?
What up? What up? I'm glad you had me, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So, you're out in Panama City, right?
Panama City Beach is where my studio is at.
I went there in 2009, 2010, 2011 for spring break. So, I spent almost 3 weeks there, but, a
Oh,
week at a
that's
time.
good.
Dude,
Yeah, man.
it's a great time. I don't know if I'll ever, now I'm 36 years old. I don't think I'd go back, maybe when I'm real old just for shits and gigs. But man, it's a fun town. Did you grow up there?
Yeah, man. Born and raised. Actually,
Right.
Panama City and Panama City Beach are just like they're just connected right by a bridge. So I mean, we all pretty much consider it the same thing. Bay County, the Panhandle, the Florida Panhandle, whatever you want to call it. So.
Yeah. What's that big bar out there? Is it Sharky's? Uh, there's a really big one, and we went to all these foam parties and shit. It was a
I mean,
really good
that's
time.
La Vila. La Vila was actually one of, I want to say it was America's largest nightclub for
Oh my God.
years.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that huge
Yeah,
one.
we had a hurricane a few years ago, actually, man, and it wiped a lot of that stuff out. And I would say most of the like Spinnakers, the one that was right next door, they were like competitors. They both just kind of closed down, and it's like a lot of business closed down after the hurricane.
Really? Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
so La Vila, it's not there anymore?
it's there. It's just not being utilized. It's just kind of like
Like an
I think
empty
they have
building?
plans for it. Yeah, it's kind of empty, but it's pretty much a lot of people that buy whatever property here, and they have certain plans for it, or they're holding on to it until because the market over here, the real estate market is just it's crazy.
So have you been going down to Panama City Beach since you were like a kid, like 14, 15?
Oh man, even before that, way
But
before
I mean,
that.
actual spring break, like getting crazy.
Oh yeah, I remember being probably like in eighth grade, skipping and going down there, and you have all the beads, and you really don't know what you're gonna get into. Like every day was just a new adventure, when you did go out there because it was just crazy. Now it's completely different. A few years ago they banned drinking on the beach for the
What?
whole month of March because people were coming and just, bro, they were trashing the beach. It was like piles of and miles of just garbage, empty beer cans, glass, trash, anything you could think of, bro. Condoms, like everything. It was, like you said, it got wild over here. So from that time you said you were over here, just imagine it keep on getting wilder and wilder. So finally, like, the local officials were like, nah, dude, we gotta do something about this. So whole month of March, you can't drink on the beach. No open containers on the actual sandy beach.
It's probably better for the community that they do that. I mean, because I always think about these towns where people come from all over the world to have fun. There's people who live
Hmm.
there also year round. And they're probably like, "What the fuck?" They probably hate it. I mean, it probably brings in some money, but
It
probably a lot of
does,
chaos.
man. But really, on the beaches, all the money that's out there is going to be if you're in the service industry or if you're renting something or something like that. And even then, with a bunch of college teams, if you got I served tables for a long time, so if you got a party of 15, they barely want to pay the gratuity. They get mad. They're like, oh man, I'm like, look, bro, y'all were, I've definitely got stiffed by, a lot of spring breakers. Summertime is when it's
Uh,
like families, everybody's coming, they want to have a good time. But spring break is just like, dude, we're here to just get lit. We don't want to give you no tips, bye.
yeah.
Unless they serve tables somewhere else, and then they're like, nah, I'll give them some money. But if they don't serve tables or nothing like that, then nah, they
That's
don't want
true.
to.
A lot of people I used to work in a restaurant. I used to work for Texas Roadhouse and Lone Star when I was in high school. A lot of people who've worked in the restaurant industry definitely show respect when they go out to other restaurants.
Yeah,
It,
100%. I was a cook for most of my life until I was probably, let's see, 20. And I was like, look, dude, I went to my front of the house manager at the restaurant I've been working at for a long time. Like, look, I'm trying to move to the front of the house. He was like, nah, you don't have any experience. I was like, all right, but left there, went somewhere else, got experience. I went to Dave and Buster's was actually my first service job ever, dude. It was tough because like people come and they want to play and they want to eat or whatever, but as a server, when you ring it up, it's like two different items, and to go back and kind of make it an eat and play is a huge headache. You know what I mean? So I'd ask the people, hey, you want to eat or whatever? You want to play? And they're like, nah. And then like towards the end, I'm like, you want to play too? And I'm like, this fucking sucks, you know? Like,
And then the bills are
well,
probably a lot higher than what they
it
expected it, right? They're like, "Oh,
it
shit,
is, bro.
what
It
did I
is, man.
do?"
And I'm just, and for me, dude, I honestly, I wanted to serve tables because I always had like that. I don't like to talk too much to people I don't really know like that. So I wanted to break out of that shell. And I
Okay.
was like, what better way to do it than serving tables? You know what I mean? Plus, the restaurant I worked there for so long. I knew the menu like the back of my hand. So we just went hand in hand. And but yeah, man, it sucked. I hated it.
And you got out of it, though. You got out of it. How old are you? I know we talked offline. How old are you, Alex?
29. I'll be 30 in
29.
December.
Nice. So you were
Yes,
when were you done high school? What's that, around 2012-ish?
man, yeah, I kind of messed up a lot in school, dude. So I really didn't graduate till 2015.
Okay, hey, but you got done. You
Yeah,
got
and
done.
I got it done. I got it done, but you know, I
Good.
was not the model student for sure.
Well, it seems like you're the doing a great job now for whatever it is, and we'll get into it. So, what was it like growing up? So, and you're from Panama City. You grew up in Panama City. What was it like? What were you doing as a kid? Were you a bad kid? Good kid?
I was a pretty bad kid. I ain't gonna lie about that one, dude. I think it's like anybody who has like ADHD or undiagnosed ADHD as a kid or something, dude. You're always just doing a lot of impulse, bad stuff, good stuff. It's just whatever stuff, just impulse stuff.
Hmm.
So I got in a lot of trouble as a kid, a lot of trouble, you know. But
Anything
I
you
didn't have
want
a
to
lot of
talk
guidance
about,
out
or
of that.
no?
I mean, I
Did you
got
ever
in
get
trouble my
arrested?
first time. Oh yeah, for sure. So like my first time getting arrested, I was 13, and me and my buddy, I was spending the night at his house. We kind of went into this. They called it an unoccupied dwelling, but really it was a clubhouse. That was open during the day. That just people went and played ping pong, whatever. And we left the window unlocked or something. He just kind of went in there and hung out at night. And he sprayed the fire extinguisher all through the clubhouse at night like a dumbass, right? So in Florida, in an unoccupied dwelling, when you commit a felony, which spraying a fire extinguisher without a fire is considered a felony in Florida, it's actually considered burglary. So I got a burglary charge at 13. And just from there, I just kept messing up. Petty theft here, a small battery charge, or just something I feel like I actually was on probation from 13 to 17.
Dude, that
The
is so
juvenile,
that is so
juvenile probation.
crazy. When I was 14 years old, I'm 36 now. When I was 14 years old, I was at my friend Dan Casino's house. He's passed away since, but they were building this facility about, I don't know, half mile away, but we cut through the woods, right? And I used a stick to kind of jam open the door. This when I was 14. And we went in there, and there was a gym, and so we're playing in the gym all weekend and whatnot, but they're still constructing the building, you know.
Right,
And we found some fire extinguishers, and my friend, he was like, "Oh, if you spray fire extinguishers, it freezes things," because he's watching TV. This is
right.
2001, and I'm like, so we took the fire extinguishers. And we left the building. We didn't spray them in the building. We left the building, walked back to his house, and the owners of the building were at the top on the third floor. It's a huge building. And they watched us, and then they followed us all the way back to his house. And they're like, "What are you doing?" And we're like, all scared. We're like, "Oh shit!" And you know, and we're
That's
spraying the
messed up,
fire. So
dude.
like we're turning around, like almost spraying them with the fire extinguishers. Like, oh, like they caught us off guard. And yeah. And so what did they have to do? Long story short, they had to make an example of us. So I also got arrested for spraying a fire extinguisher when I was 14. I had to go to this back on track program. I had to do 120 hours of community service, all kinds of bullshit.
Yeah, man.
And that really
Kids,
kind of changed how I did things after that. But that's so crazy. I never met another person who was 13, 14 who got arrested for spraying fire
spraying a
extinguishers.
fire extinguisher, and it's just crazy how they turned it into a burglary charge. It's just like my mind was like, wow, that's 13 years old. You're getting a burglary charge for just spraying a fire extinguisher, and like I had like a rough, childhood, so my parents weren't allowed to pay for a lawyer. So you got the public defender.
Oh yeah, I
It's
had a
like, yeah,
public.
it kind of is what it is, bro. You have to eat this charge, and I'm like, all
Yeah.
right.
Luckily
And
though, when
yes,
we're younger, were you able to get it off your like expunged and shit later?
well, I mean, juvenile records are sealed unless it's like a federal background. Even then, they really can't. They could if they really wanted to, but if you just write it, I got in some trouble as a juvenile.
Yeah, most people
Then
don't care, I would say. Like, if I was
no,
looking to hire
no.
somebody, I wouldn't care. It's like, "Are you
No,
good
no, I don't have
now?"
to put anything on like a. I don't have to put anything on a job application. Like I've also been, like a contractor for the military, things like that. So they always do deep applications, some super super deep applications.
Yeah, man,
You got
that's
to list
crazy.
stupid stuff like that. It wasn't until I was probably like 17 that I really, because like I said, I kept getting in trouble, and they were like, okay, we're gonna extend your probation, or we're gonna do this and do that. And finally, one time, it was like the last straw. I went into a store with somebody. I went into Walmart with a close friend of mine, and they were stealing something, and I wasn't though. But I was with them, and they were basically like, because I didn't snitch on that person, that I was stealing too.
Ah.
So then
It
they were like, look, you got to get it together. You got a court hearing in 2 or 3 months. So I started going. I got my first job. I was getting good grades in school, and they were like, yeah, no, you're gonna go to a program. So I went to this juvenile program that totally changed my life. It's called Outward Bound. It's still open now, but the year I went to it was the last year of the. It's like it was a low risk. It was considered a low risk program because it was outside. It was a tough program, but that was the last year of like low risk programs, medium risk programs in Florida. Now they're all when you go to a program, you're going to like a high risk program.
Now, did you
So I
have to
was
live
thinking for
there
that.
for this program, or did you just get dropped off every day?
No, I had to live there. Yeah, so they basically transported for me from here, Panama City, over to. It was somewhere around Jacksonville. It's really close to Yulee, Florida. I think is where it was at. Yulee, Florida.
Okay.
Anyways, in that program, it's basically like they just pretty much just squeezed in 6 months of stress into like 3 months. So you get there, the first day you get there, you're jogging 5 minutes, walking one, jogging another five, and the next day jogging six, walking one, jogging another six. So by the time, 90 days, your 90 days pass, you're jogging 90 minutes, walking one, jogging another 90. And the whole time they drop you off at this river. So the whole St. Mary's River, which is the river between Florida and Georgia, I canoed the whole thing, the whole Swanee River, canoed the whole Swanee River. And so pretty
Wow.
much like you had different campsites every night, that it was me and like three other guys and two instructors, basically went to these campsites every night, ran every day, freeze dry food. You don't talk to no family, you know what I mean? But it really changed my life for me, because before then, like, I didn't really care about a lot of stuff, and I was like, man, they're giving me an opportunity to really. I could have been in a cell. Like I had a chance to either do I want to go to this wilderness program or do I want to go to a cell? And I was like, fuck the cell. I'm going to this wilderness program,
Damn right, damn right. So you think
But
it changed your life? So it gave you I'm assuming it gave you discipline, right?
yeah,
And
for
hard
sure.
work?
At the time, yeah, at the time it is, But when you get out from a controlled environment, you always go down your own path again. But at that time, it really changed my outlook on where I was heading in life and who I wanted to be. I learned a lot of just communication skills that I didn't have before. A lot of just very very useful skills. And like I said, even though it was a juvenile program at the time, they still have that program for adults and at risk youth and anybody who really wants to sign up. And they take people on like expeditions around the world. And I strongly consider going on another one as an adult.
I feel like they
You know.
should have that as a, 'cause it's crazy you say that, 'cause I feel like they should have that because I know a lot of, I'm not gonna name names, but I have people in my family and friends who I would consider lazy, to be blunt.
Hmm.
And it's just like they just need a kick in the ass and they just need discipline. And I feel like something like that, like don't go to jail, but something that will teach them discipline and hard work and consistency and persistence. And, also being
Right.
alone a lot of people, they're so distracted with their phones and stuff now, but being alone, you're forced to kind of reflect on your life. And I'm sure you did a lot of self-reflection and thinking about, look,
Yeah.
I don't want to be in
Hmm.
this. I don't mean to be fucking running all the time anymore. And I definitely don't want to be in jail. So what do I got to do to make sure this don't
Yeah.
happen again?
100%, man. 100%. Like I said,
So
one day I'll probably go to it. Again, it's like I said, it's called Outward Bound, but
outward
um,
bound, shout out outward bound.
Outward Bound. Shout out Outward Bound. You'll see me one day in there.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
something now as an adult you gotta want to go. It's nobody's. I mean, parents can sign up their kids for the youth version, but as an adult, they offer a voluntary. You sign up, you're committed to this, and it's like a. It's just I look at it as like an opportunity to kind of rediscover yourself, your values, and things without the outside influence. Like you said, the phone, the social media, everything like that. Like I deleted social media off my personal phone here recently. That's probably why I'm not as active, or I won't respond to certain comments or something for a period of time because I just found myself now as an adult always on there looking at other people's work or where they're at in their career or everything, something like that. And it's like I just got tired of the comparison.
Oh, I understand that. I think
Hmm.
that's pretty big especially in this industry as well. And for, new artists up and coming, just focus on getting better. Focus on,
Hmm.
just building your skill set. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Focus on
Exactly.
you. And the better you get, eventually more people will gravitate towards you.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, so Alex, are you that's really good. First, I just want to say that's really awesome that changed your life, and I like what you're doing now. And we talked a little bit offline, and we'll get into it. So from there, so from the program, what did you do next? So you're what? How old were you when this happened? 17, 18? What do you do after that?
Yeah, when I was 17, I think I got out of the program. Uh, Met a girl in high school. Kind of stayed with her throughout high school. Graduated and didn't really. Once I graduated, I was I'm gonna take a year off to kind of. Well, originally, what happened was my senior year. Like, I'm gonna take the year because I was so busy. I've always worked since I was 16, years old. I've always been my main supporter. So at that time, I was 18 years old. I had my own apartment. In high school, it was a lot going on. So I was like, let me let this go. And if I don't have my GED by the end of the summer, I'm going to take my dumb ass back to high school, you know what I mean, and graduate. So I did that. And so I graduated when I was 19. From there, I think I just worked at a call center for around a year or so. And man, I hated that. I just hated the call center. I felt like an ant, dude. I was amazing at my job, but I hated putting on that. Hi, thank you for calling. I'm more than happy to assist you. And I just like
What
to
were
just
you doing? What kind of call center was it?
healthcare.gov. So Obamacare, whatever you want to call it,
Okay.
market-based coverage. Yeah, I was a customer service rep there for a long time. I did it in high school too. I worked there on and off for a while, and I said I hated it, man. And one day I went to the trade school, and I was like looking at all the programs they offered, and I was like, man, these all sound like all right careers, but it was really the aircraft mechanics that stuck out to me. Like okay, I can learn how to work on planes, and I can go work at the airlines, get free flights, maybe potentially get hours to become a pilot. Well, you never know with aircraft mechanic work, but the super long program, it was like 2.5 years to complete. So once I did that, I
Who
knew
paid for that? Who paid for this program?
it was a Pell Grant, because like
Oh,
I said, I've
nice.
always
Good for you.
I supported myself really most of the time. So yeah, I was able to apply for the Pell Grant, and then I had really good grades in it. Like I was not a good student in high school, but when you go to school for something you want to learn, like I had, pretty much all A's, maybe a few B's majority of the time. I kept probably like a 95% average.
And
So I applied for scholarships.
I'm sure you weren't learning the same shit that they teach in school, right? You're learning mechanics. Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
uh,
Exactly. Because at that point, I was like, dude, I was tired of fixing my own car or paying somebody to fix it. I was like, I thought maybe they're gonna entwine, aircraft mechanics and car mechanics, and they do a lot. A lot of them do. I'm a really good car mechanic when I need to be. I don't prefer to work on cars when I got to. It is what it is. Yeah, I've just always been in that. with my hands. You know, I've
Yeah,
always done
it's
something with my hands.
easier. I earlier you talked about having ADHD, and I have ADHD as well. And through school, I struggled. I made it through it, and I can learn when I try really hard. But when I got out of high school, I went into the Navy. But you have to take this test, right? And called the ASVAB. And on the ASVAB,
Hmm.
where I may have scored a little bit lower on some English, reading comprehension, and maybe even some math, although I'm proficient in it, but I scored super high on the gears and the mechanics. And I think a lot of
Hmm.
people who have ADHD, we're a lot more hands on. We can watch something, how somebody does it, and we can just figure the shit out pretty quickly. Uh,
Yep,
and, and,
exactly.
and, and it's a lot easier for us. And, we need people like us, to do that kind of thing. Because
Yeah,
not everybody learns the
100%.
same. Because then there's also on the opposite end, you have people who are not so good with their hands or doing things physically, but they book smart. They can just learn shit, you know?
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just everyone's
And the
different.
SMP artist, you gotta kind of be all of it. You know, it doesn't in the beginning, especially. You gotta be all of it. You gotta be book smart, hands on inclined. You have to do everything. So for me, eventually as an aircraft mechanic, I went into fabrication and heavy structures, which is pretty much the aircraft body. So I did a lot of fabricating, sheet metal work, learned how to weld. Just really when you're fabricating stuff for aircraft or anything similar, it's down to the 0.001. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter any room for error. It's all ran through QA, and if you mess it up, you got to remake it. It's kind of it is what it is. So I've always been like very detailed from the aircraft mechanic side.
Were you doing MIG and TIG welding?
I learned a little bit of MIG. I learned a little bit of TIG, a little bit of both. Honestly, that wasn't my main thing at that job. I just, whenever I could help out, I did. And I had a really good welder there who, I was like, if we have some downtime, I'm like, hey, can you show me how to weld some aluminum?
Yeah.
Something,
Now,
so.
were you working real quick? Were you working for like a Southwest Airlines, or what company kind of did you end up working for?
Immediately after aircraft mechanic school, I went to PSA Airlines, which is American Airlines Regional
Okay.
Airline. So American owns them, and so you pretty much get all the same benefits as American Airlines, except American gets paid way more and they have way better benefits. But basically, for mechanics at PSA, that's like their foot in the door into the majors, which is American, and they're topping out. They're getting some loot. I mean, for what they do.
And I mean, it's hard work. It's not easy.
Nah, I mean at the airlines, it's unless you're at a MRO, which is like a major repair facility. If you're at the airlines, I mean, especially if it's third shift, dude, they have the certain write ups on the plane. A few people tag team the plane. Once you're done with your stuff, they don't care what you do.
Oh, that's great.
It's like if all the planes are flying, all the planes are good, signed off. Hey, we don't care what. I would go to work, man. I would download like 5 movies because it was 10-hour shifts. It was 410 throughout the week overnight. I would go in, knock out all the work I was assigned to do, and I would be in the back just watching my movies, hanging out. That's why I got super fat, man, working overnight like that. And you're working on the planes like all they have is snacks, sodas, candies when they pull in, and nobody cares if you eat them all. So I got really big. I was in Savannah, Georgia, so I didn't know anybody. I had moved
Okay,
over
so you
there.
had to move to Savannah.
Yeah, I moved to Savannah, Georgia. I was there for a while, like I said, and it was cool. I moved over there with a partner at the time and started eating. Like I said, only thing it was just me and the person I moved there with. So we had our days off because we were pretty much opposite schedule. We would just eat. I'm a cook by nature too, so I was always finessing something in the kitchen to eat. And dude, I just put on some weight working overnight like that. And
Easy to
diabetes
do.
runs in
It's
my
easy to
family.
do.
It's really easy to do. So diabetes runs in my family, and dude, I was like 280 pounds at the time. Yeah, I'm 5'11". So that's like I was really big,
Okay.
and I started having like a bunch of weird symptoms. So I scheduled an appointment with a primary care doctor in Savannah, and like he was like, I don't know what's going on. We're running some blood tests, and I was like, well, before you go, like, will you check my blood sugar? And he did. He was like, dude, your sugar is through the roof. He's like, you need to go to the ER like right now. And I
Oh,
was like,
damn.
seriously? He was like, yeah, you can do that. And 'cause you got to think about it, man. Like, get there at night. All you're doing is drinking the sodas and the snacks that go on the plane. Then you eat lunch at 3 in the morning, whatever. Then you get off at 8, eat some breakfast. Maybe if you're a mechanic, most of them have a drink or something at 8 in the morning because they're about to go to sleep. Like it's the same thing that people would regularly do, but you don't have that. You don't have that exercise. You got to really make it at that time, man. At that point in my life, that was
Yeah,
just
and you're
not a priority.
and
You
with
know
the
what I mean?
time change, I mean, you're all messed up with your sleep
Exactly.
cycle, and then I'm sure on your days off, you're trying to almost live at
Flip it.
normal
Yeah.
hours, right? So you'd either stay up
Yeah,
too
dude.
late or sleep too long.
Yeah, so my body was kind of just really having a hard time. So found out I was diabetic. Then like I had a follow up. They shot me with a bunch of insulin and went home. Then I had like a follow up appointment 2 days later. And this is still in Savannah, Georgia. On the way there, I'm like having my phone in the passenger seat. I don't know where the hell I'm going. You know what I mean? Click it, to see like where's my next turn. I look up, bro. There's like a truck right in front of me. But, it's like a 60-mile-an-hour road. The truck's brake lights are not on. So I'm thinking he's going. As I get close, I'm in a small single cab Tacoma. Shout out Toyota. I love my Toyota. But I'm in a single cab Tacoma, and so I slam on the brakes, and my car just starts sliding. So I turn kind of to the left, try to like avoid hitting him, and I kind of clipped his the edge of his. I think it was like a F-150, something like that. But I was slamming on the brakes so hard that it broke my hip.
Oh my
Like it
god.
broke my acetabular. So my hip popped out a place like 50%, and then the acetabular is like the back part of your pelvis. It like broke off in one chunk.
Damn.
And, so yeah, dude, it was a rough
So
patch.
what you have
I
to do for
couldn't.
that?
I had to have surgery. Basically, what they did was the first day because I went to an ER. On an ambulance ride to the hospital. Once I got there, they told me my femur was popped out of place 50%. So they had to put a weight. They had to drill in basically some post into my quad, and with a weight and a pulley at the end of it with a weight, and realign it the first day. And then the next day, once it realigned back with my pelvis, they went in, kind of like cut my hip open and basically put a bracket to lock that because it broke off in one solid chunk. So they would have just kind of popped it back and put a bracket in place, but it kind of fucked me up really bad. So I couldn't walk for 3 months. I had to move back home. Uh, it was super rough, man. I had to move back in.
Were you able to collect disability from the job for this? Or get any
Yeah,
money?
I was able to, but it was 60% of my wages, obviously with disability. But then I also had Cobra, so I couldn't just let my insurance go because for the airlines you have to go on Cobra when you're on leave like that.
Okay.
So I had to pay for Cobra. Cobra is crazy expensive. And for everybody who
Yeah.
doesn't know, Cobra is basically what your job pays for your insurance, but now you're going to pay it out of pocket since your job's not paying it. You
Yeah,
know?
and you can use Cobra when you're in between jobs too. So if you
Yeah,
quit a
exactly,
job and use
exactly.
Cobra to, and there's a lapse in between your coverage, then you can sign them with Cobra. Okay.
Yeah, so that was eating up a lot of the disability, and of course, the medical bills that comes with basically a hip surgery. It was crazy. So yeah, I moved back here to Panama City and stayed here for. I couldn't go back to work honestly for like 11 months.
Wow.
Like it was a really rough. I couldn't walk for the first 3 months. Like I couldn't bear weight on my hip for 3 months. So then the remaining, like 5 months was pretty much, or however many months was pretty much just me getting my strength back in my hip. Really.
Now, what ended up happening? So you go through. I'm assuming you went through all the PT work, right? You had to do
Yeah, went through all the
PT.
PT, all that. Split with the girl I was with. I was with the girl in Georgia for, me and her were together. I was a high school chick I met in high school, so we split. So I was like, damn, I kind of felt like I was just in one of those times where I was like, man, I'm not really making any money right now. Um, Struggling essentially. I can't go back to work right now because my doctor won't sign it off. So luckily I had some really good people in my life at the time that really, helped me a lot to pretty much carry my own, as far as like I stayed with my best friend for a while after that. And then once the doctor signed me back to get back to Georgia, I had, a coworker there that kind of let me stay with him. I paid him some money every month, whatever. And And then I got a job offer here back home, locally as a contractor for the military. And I was like, no, bye. It was Monday through Friday, 7 to 3:30. I'm like, man, that's a cake schedule, all holidays paid. And I was like, all right, I'll holler at y'all later. I was getting paid more. The only thing is, I didn't get free flights anymore. I didn't get flights working as a contractor, and that's honestly why I became an aircraft mechanic. And so once I stopped getting flights and stopped flying, I was flying every time. I mean, you got 4 10s, you got 3 days off. So on my 3 days off, I'm going somewhere.
Oh, you're doing a bunch of
I didn't,
trips?
yeah, exactly.
Nice.
So every time I had days off at the airlines, I was going somewhere, just traveling and enjoying myself. So once I came back home, not being able to fly, I was like, man, this is not as fun anymore.
Let
This is kind of just like, damn.
Yeah, it's like all I'm doing is working like a
Hmm.
normal person, like a sucker.
Yeah, I don't like to work like a sucker, man. I like to enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Let me ask you something. So it sounds like you've been taking care of yourself for a while and all that. Were your parents around, or what happened with that? You don't have to tell me if you don't want to go into it.
Oh
But
no, it's cool, man. No, so my parents weren't really around. Like when I was 13, my mom got arrested for just some stupid shit she was doing, and she got sent to prison. And then that same time, my dad got arrested because he's from Mexico. My dad, and back in the '80s, he got in trouble, with some bad crimes he did. Nobody was hurt or anything like that, but still, just some serious crimes.
mhm.
So he was deported back in the '80s. So yeah, back in that time, there wasn't a whole bunch of computer systems that had everybody's green card number, passport number. It was just you had a card. So he got his card mailed back, came over here, and he was here till I was like 13, and then he got in trouble with some. He was hanging out with some Mexicans. Immigration came in, and so he got deported around that time too. And yeah, so pretty much from that time until my mom got out of prison when I was like 15, going on 16, something like that. But even then, by that time, I was already, you know, I felt like I was already raising myself. Couldn't nobody really
I
tell
know
me
the
what to do at that
I
point.
know the feeling, buddy. Raising yourself. Um,
Yeah.
so did you have aunts, uncles, grandparents that helped you? For that 2 3 years?
No, no,
No.
I have a lot of siblings, man. I'm the 10th out of 10 kids. So I'm the 10th
Holy
child.
shit!
I'm the
For real?
baby. Yeah. So 5 of them are here in Panama City. The other 5 are in Ohio. Close with them too, but not obviously I wasn't raised with them as much as I was raised with the people here and my siblings here. So I was kind of staying with them at that time, and they were younger than I am now. I'm 13. My oldest brother's 7 years old. He was 20 years old. And my other sister's not too much older than him. So they were kids trying to raise a kid.
Mhm.
And so it's how that goes. It's they had their limits on what they could and couldn't do because they had a life too. So
Yeah,
I
and
can't
they don't have money, right? That's another thing,
exactly.
and then they
You
got
know.
their own problems they're dealing with, they're trying to do
Mhm.
their thing. That's a lot, that's a lot. Um,
Mhm.
it definitely could have ended different, than where you are right now, so I love to hear that, I
Um,
really do, I mean, that's incredible, I mean, you basically raised yourself, I mean, your parents going to jail, getting deported, you going to these different facilities, you ended up still going back to high school and getting that, and then going on getting further technical, going to a technical college and get, I guess, a certification as a airplane mechanic. Is that what it's called?
yeah, it's a certification.
Super impressive. Super impressive. Good for you, man. Good
I
for you.
appreciate you, bro. Yeah, man.
It's
It's
a
always
lot
been in
to
survival mode,
underestimate.
so it's like survival mode, that's all it is. And I think that's a lot of people that come from my type of situation. They're just always in survival mode. So the little things, that we should cherish more as adults, like good experiences, building better memories, more things that like healthy dopamine, where
Yeah.
you get your dopamine from, things like that. When you're in survival mode your whole life, it's hard to like stop. So now I'm really SMP for me has always been a way to help take care of people I love also, and help people in life. But for me, it's not really about the money or anything like that. It's for me getting more freedom, And when I
Oh,
say freedom, obviously you get less freedom as a business owner, but you get more freedom when you're your own boss. So like
oh yeah.
that's what I'm looking for, to just take care of my physical and mental health going forward. I did the aircraft mechanics in SMP for a long time. Pretty much working like 6, 7 days straight at that time. And here recently, I just was like, this, like it's enough. So now I'm just doing SMP full time.
Congrats.
Um, I appreciate it, man. It was a big step. I'm still learning as an entrepreneur. I don't have a whole lot of mentors and never have a whole lot. So everything that I'm doing or where I'm at is pretty much just all me and the little bits and pieces I got from other people throughout my journey.
Good. Good. And so and um are you married right now? Do you have any kids?
No, I'm not married. I don't have any kids. I have a girlfriend who I love. Shout out
Good
to
for
her.
you. Wait, buddy,
But
wait.
I'm just hanging in there, bro. I'm not in a like I said, dude. I got 9 people that I learned of what the hell I don't want to do. Some things that I do. Obviously you take the good and the bad from everybody who's in your life, but I got examples of what I do and don't want. So that's probably mainly. If you look back in history, all the greats that came from families of people that did the same thing, but it was the youngest person who was the actual, like, the best. Even with the what is it, the Williams sisters and
There's
everybody
definitely
like that.
yeah, yeah, the youngest can, but there's also the other end where the youngest gets babied a lot and then they depend on it.
That's true.
Everybody else, but it doesn't seem like you did that. I also think because there's such
Nah,
probably a big age gap and you're kind of forced
yeah,
to grow the fuck up or,
hmm, yeah,
or
exactly,
don't survive. Um,
exactly.
it could have ended up you could have been a to be completely honest, similar to my story, you could have been a drug addict. You could have been selling drugs. You could have been committing dumb crimes or serious crimes. Could be in jail.
Or I could have done all that and still realized, like, that's just not where I want to be in life, and still grown from it. And I mean, I've obviously done when you don't have anything, when you're young, like, you're gonna do what you got to do to eat. So I've done a lot of things. Some I'm not proud of. Some just got to do what you got to do. But it's always the mentality, like, this is just temporary until I find out what I got to do. So I still got homies that really that lived a life lifestyle like me that still live it. And then I got friends that went on and were like, okay, I'm gonna grow from this. I still love all of them, but at the same time, everybody got their own choices of who they want to be and what they're gonna do, and sometimes you just gotta do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that for me, it was similar to kind of what you said earlier, where it was like I saw what people older than me did, how they were living their lifestyle, how they conducted their life, where they were at. And I was like, look, I don't want to do what they're doing. So if I don't want to end up like them, I have to do things differently, kind of learn from their mistakes. But not everybody
Right.
does that. Good for you, man. Seriously, good for you.
Appreciate it, bro. Thank
Let's
you.
get into your sort of SMP journey. So you were working both as a mechanic and SMP for a couple of years, you said, and recently you
Hmm.
broke off. And now, are you doing it out of your house, your SMP? First of all, what's the name of your business? And then where are you located? Like, is it in your house, or do you got a little studio, or how are you doing it?
No, no, not in the house.
Uh,
It's Scalp Micropigmentation by Alex Corona, located in Panama City Beach, Florida. It's a small studio I work at. There's a few different services offered here. So it's a chiropractor, stylist, massage therapy. So I'm kind of just in here doing my own thing. I got my own little room in here, and I come and go as I please. And
nice. So you got like a nice you're in a professional setting.
right, yeah, for sure.
Nice. Good for you, man. You want the high end
Yeah.
clientele, right? They want to come
I
somewhere.
do, I do. I just want to be versatile, and also, as far as my name, I sat back for a long time. I was like, man, what's my name? What my business is gonna be? Da 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 da. And I'm like, man, dude, like, what better name than just like build trust with my own name? Eventually, though, I do want to come up with another, name to kind of have a
Yeah.
brand per se.
Yeah.
But for right now,
Well,
my
you are the
business is
brand.
just
SMP by Alex Corona is
exactly.
the brand. You're saying like, because I've thought
But it's
about that.
limiting, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's limiting because it's like if I want to eventually have somebody, an artist working with me, an apprentice, etc., whatever, you can't. they're going to say SMP by Alex Corona. This person's not Alex Corona, you know. So it's got maybe a different a cosmetic studio or something like
Yeah.
Corona's cosmetic studio, something like that, where it's just I'm not the only one doing something, so that way people don't have these expectations that I'm going to be the only one working, you know.
My
But
advice and
for right
my
now, I'm just trying to build trust in the name.
the in I always think in terms of how are people gonna find me, right? So you start in the name.
Hmm.
This is just my advice, my 2 cents, I'll just throw in there. And to anybody listening, you know, who's trying to think of a name, you want people to be able to find you on Google, right? Yeah,
Hmm.
you'll get a lot of clients from social media, but Google is really where it's at. And so when they're typing in,
That's
if
true.
they're near you, they're going to type in. Are they going to more likely type in Alex Corona? No, they're going to type in SMP near me. So if you're PCB or Panama City SMP or something like that, I think you're more likely to pop up. Even if that's not your main name, you could at least get a web page like that and point it to your real web page.
Well, yeah, I mean, the first part is scalp micropigmentation
Yeah,
by, you know.
yeah,
So
yeah,
now
yeah.
it's like every time somebody Googles SMP hair tattoo, I got as people doing my SEO and my Google and social media.
Great.
So yeah.
Good. So I also want to bring up this, okay? And I've watched some of your videos and I think you're doing great work. And I saw you've trained with quite a few people. But let's just start to your original journey. You got SMP, you weren't happy with the results. We don't have to talk about who you went to.
Hmm.
And so what happened from there?
Yeah. So I mean, I originally got SMP in 2019, and just like any client who doesn't really know what they're looking at or looking for or the science of anything, you know, they just kind of like assume what they see is good work because you don't have any comparison really. So I got it done. Still wasn't super satisfied once I got it done, but I thought to myself, like, okay, it's better than being bald, you know, because like it was noticeable to me. Like I only got questioned maybe a few times or something. I was like, hey man, is your hairline getting tattooed? And then that's like, man, that's awkward, you know. It's super awkward at that time, but I was happy with it. And then, you know, I would say a year later, I just started noticing like these super green, mucky background behind the impressions, you know, and it wasn't like the whole head. It would just be like a green cluster here, green cluster here, here, here. And I was like, okay. So I've seen this other artist's work. And now as an SMP artist, I know that he works way saturated. And when I say saturated, I mean like no negative space in between the impression saturated, you know. So I thought that okay, it's like okay, as a client, you think smaller. Smaller is better. The more smaller they go, the tighter they go, the more real. But that's not how the human body works. But as a client, you assume. So I went to this guy. He's super saturated my scalp. You know, obviously, like I was super happy with it at the time. Even went and trained with him after that. And then once I learned, like I said earlier, I'm a person that hyper focuses on what I'm doing. You know, so I started really looking into the science, like the why behind the what I'm doing, you know, and finding all the artists around the world, joining all the forums. I mean, dude, I would write people in a whole nother country and ask them a question in the beginning. Like it didn't matter to me. If they said no, fuck it. Okay, you said no. You know, but a lot of people helped me along the way, but um, about a year. Okay, well, it wasn't really until I went to the meeting of minds last year that I was like, dude, my head is fucked. You know what I mean? Because I'm in Florida, right? You know, like you see a lot of stuff in Florida, and I'm like, man, dude, thank God mine's not like that, right? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
but like when I go to an event with peers that all have SMP, and I walk in and I'm looking at everybody's, and I'm like, ooh, man. People are probably looking at mine like, what's that, brother? You know, so like I'm like, damn. At that time, I was like, yeah, I got to get this shit removed. You know, because even then, the work I was producing I was still happy with it. So I was like, but it's way better than what I had on my scalp. So at that time, I was like, damn, I feel like I'm holding myself back. I don't want to go into a barber shop or I don't want to go into like a cosmetic surgeon's office and say, hey, this is the service I offer. It doesn't matter if I have the cleanest work. The
Yeah.
first impression is they're going to see mine and be like, ooh, you know? So it's like, That's pretty for me is what I feel like has been holding me back here lately. It's really now that I've started the journey, it's like I'm super open about talking about the removal and all that. But beforehand, like it just it sucks, you know. But
How many
I'm
lasers did you get done? How many sessions laser have you had done?
I've already had two so far. I have, let's see, I think I probably have like maybe like one or two more to go. There's some like blowouts over here and kind of some blowouts in this corner, but my skin is, I would say, it's slightly hyperpigmented, I would say.
But you don't
But
think
they
it's light enough for someone to go over it yet?
100%. But you know, I know like it doesn't matter if somebody goes over it. Like the bigger blowouts that are there, they're gonna pop back up eventually. You know, even if somebody does go over. So I don't want. I just
Just
want to
trying
give
to get
somebody
it
a
over
clean
with, get all
canvas.
the bullshit over right now, so you could go
Exactly.
on. Okay.
I don't want no surprises later on. I'd rather give the person I'm working with, like, it's gonna have I'm have working on me, a clean canvas, even if part of the hair, because the laser actually kind of made me lose even more hair where it was done. It was,
I've heard
you
other
know, the
people say
first,
that too. I have heard. I mean, they're shooting a laser into your, your skin.
yeah, the first session didn't though. My hair grew back just fine, but the second session, for some reason, you know, it zapped a lot of my hairs. But yeah, I probably have like maybe one or two more sessions to go, and then I'm gonna give it maybe 4 to 6 months before I get it redone because I want my scalp to be fully healed. I know a lot of people think you know it's like 8 weeks is fine, but for me, you know, your body's still attacking that area. I would say for a couple months, and it's not done attacking that area. Like your um all the things going on after the laser, your body's working really hard to get that skin back to normal. And after 8 weeks, it's still not. I feel like it's not completely healed. It's not until 3 months, 4 months where the body is done attacking that area. You can ask any laser tech. It doesn't matter if somebody schedules 12 weeks after their last session of laser. Like even if they didn't get the laser done after 12 weeks, it's going to keep on breaking up because of how the laser broke up the carbon particles of the ink. So now they're smaller. Your body is going to continue to metabolize them even past the 8, 12 week mark. So your body's constantly working in that area for months and months until it's fully healed. So if somebody goes and gets SMP done 2 months after having their laser, there's a chance of the ink almost looking like it's pulled up together, you know,
Yeah,
in a way.
yeah.
It is, and that's
And
because the body's not done with healing.
for people who don't know, I mean, when people say they're getting their head lasered, it doesn't automatic. They're not just burning it off. What they're doing is they're like Alex was saying, they break up the ink. They're breaking up the particles, and then it kind of fades away into your skin's absorbed, and then absorbed into your body. You basically end up peeing it out. Is
Hmm.
really what it comes down to. So, because I think a lot of people think, oh, it's getting it lasered off, like they're burning it off. That's not what's happening.
No, I seen this one video where this person put like a glob of pigment in between two glass plates and hit it with the laser, and you can literally see the pigment just going popping, almost like Spawn, you know, from Spider Man. It's like you could just see it just going everywhere, and eventually it's like dust, powdery dust.
Nice, nice.
And
We'll have
like
to
the
pull that
particles
video
being
up.
small is actually what lets your body progress. You know, they pass through your dermis layer. You know, at that point.
Yeah, and it's painful for people who don't know. How
Oh,
bad is it, Alex?
painful. It's pretty fucking painful, man. I would say I have a high pain tolerance too, bro. I would say it's probably like a good solid 9 out of 10.
It looks brutal. It looks brutal.
It is, bro. It really is. I'm sitting there like just because the lady, you know, it's just like the first session. I was like, how long is it gonna take? Because I'm really like I'm a straightforward person. I'm like, how long is it gonna take from start to finish this
Mhm.
laser session? She was like 4 minutes if you stay still. I'm like 4 minutes, okay. So she's like halfway through my head, right? And I'm like, God damn. And she's like, you want to take a break? I'm like, no, just I mean I got it all on recording too. I'm like, no, just get through it, you know. And
Uh,
afterwards, I'm like, oh damn that shit. And the second one was just as bad, bro. It was just as bad.
yeah, you don't get used to it, right?
It doesn't. It's not something you get used to, bro. No doubt. I've had a client tell me that he liked the feeling of it.
What the
Because I was
fuck?
telling him like, bro, you can put a topical cream on it, but you know, even the top, it doesn't do anything. It really
It,
doesn't do anything.
You'd have to physically get numb, like, they'd have to come numb you with the
lidocaine shots or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
and,
it was rough,
not
man.
well, good for you getting through it, so you're able to hopefully this net last one you get, they could bang it out in 2 minutes because there's not as much area.
Yeah.
And, just so people know roughly, what is that, about 300, 400, $500, 600 for the full head?
It depends on where you go. I got quotes from like 250 to 500, but I actually drove down to Tampa. There's a spa over there that I have an SMP, but Jesse Lima,
Yeah,
he
of course.
recommended this clinic over there that does removal. Cause like I said, I go talk to Jesse over there. He's a good
Yeah.
homie.
Yeah, I
Jesse,
like
shout out to
Jesse.
Jesse.
Shout out Jesse.
Yeah, so here in Panama City, there was no one who had experience removing SMP. I mean, I had experience removing PMU, other tattoos, but it's like for me, I'm like, you've heard the horror stories, of people
Yeah.
going and getting burned with laser, somebody trying to remove their SMP. So I just made the drive to Tampa, which is about 5.5 hours or so to do the laser
For 5 minutes. Yeah,
for
hey, you gotta
five
do what you
minutes.
gotta do.
You gotta do what you gotta do, bro. I learned my lesson. I'm not going to convene ever again in my life. Conveniency for me is not. I'm looking for quality. I'm not looking for convenience.
Take that serious,
Straight up.
people. He's speaking the
I
truth.
take it serious.
So, what who did you end up so you're going through this, you're almost kinda done your process of the laser. Who'd you end up training with in SMP?
The first person I trained with was the second person who kind of botched me.
Okay.
Then after that, I took a few online courses. Like I took Jero's online course.
Shout out to John
Um,
Giroux.
Shout out to Jero. I went and trained with Jero and them in person. Trained
Oh,
with
you did?
Jesse
You went up to New
Lima.
York?
Yeah, I went up to New York. Went
Okay.
up to New York. Yeah. I did some training with Jesse Lima, and then shout. Obviously, with my guy Tony A in Italy, I went over to Italy and did a week of training
Tony
over there. Pretty much,
Affilicato. Tony's a
shadowing
beast. How was
my
that?
guy
How was it
Tony
being
A.
in
Shout out
Italy?
Black Rain. Italy it's great, man. Like I said, my dad is in another country, so whenever I'm in another country, I just feel like disconnected with everybody here. And sometimes, it's like you need that for a few days. So just going over there and kind of just being on the complete opposite, time and everyone was back here. It's just like you just had that clarity. And obviously Tony and his girl Alex, they showed me a really good time. And yeah, man, it was awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going back soon, hopefully.
Yeah. And what did
Yeah.
and Tony is regarded as one of the best trainers in the world. And what do you think is different about kind of his approach and his style?
Um, for me, I think it's him not being scared to admit, you need the solid dots. You need solid dots. I think even before I went and trained with Tony, like, don't get me wrong, there's the little impressions, they're beautiful, you know, but sometimes they're only beautiful fresh. And then a month later, they won't be there.
Yeah, they
And what are you
fizzle
going to go?
away. They fade
You're
away.
going to go back and you're just going to what are you going to, if you don't know how to layer your impressions or recall them, as Tony says, what are you going to do? You're going to add a whole nother layer of impression. Small, and and you do that, what, 2 or 3 times, now you got a saturated scalp,
Mhm.
but not even dark. It's like mucky saturated. And I only say because I've done it. I've already done it. I've had to go back and correct people that it involves going back when now for people I've done in the past that, I kind of, I wouldn't say saturated, but just a lot of real small impressions, really light. I'll go back and I'll layer the impressions with magnifying glasses and just, it's a lot more work now. But like I said, I stand behind the work that I do, so if that's what I got to do to make the job how I want it to look, then I'm going to do that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But
And you're talking about the depth of the impression, right? So you're saying about
no, the
okay.
opacity. So, opacity is how transparent you can consider it. Transparent, opacity, how light, how dark, So, if you don't layer your impressions, it's gonna heal very light. That's just what it is. If you just quick jab, light color, unless you're
Yeah, if you're
going with
trying
a
to be
dark
real
color,
fast.
Yeah, unless you're going with a dark color, and then it's gonna heal really cool.
Yeah. Yep.
So what do? You got to layer, and when you layer, you're not going deeper. You're just adding more pigment to the cavity that's there.
And
So
it
it
can cause
changes
it,
its
and it could
opacity
cause a blowout as well, right? There's a
if you
risk of
don't know what you're doing.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you don't know what you're doing, but it's a different story when you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
training with Tony kind of really helped me because I was already layering my impression, but I had like PTSD from getting a box job. So I didn't want to push that limit. Like, how far can I push this impression? What can I, like how dark can I make it? How, just expanding my mind to other possibilities instead of like, oh damn, I just want a really mucky shadow. Like how can I really make these impressions look like follicles? And then when it's healed, how can I create texture that stays texturized, not just saturated, So, a lot of people don't know about me, but like I practice almost every day. Like here's even before you call
People,
this is just something
he's
I would
getting up
do.
and he's going to get the. Okay, look, he really is still practicing. I love that. I
I
love that.
practice all the time. It
It looks
really
really good too.
it's all about like what you're trying to achieve. That's what everybody always asks, like what machine you use, what volt, what this, what that, and it all depends like what are you trying to achieve,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. To me, I mean, people might get mad. I don't think the machine does matter to a certain extent, but I think it's more so matters to the person's skill level and their experience versus the machine. I mean, you can have the best machine in the world and still fuck somebody's head up. You know?
100%.
Yeah.
The machine doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it does to ex- but at the end of the day, not really. Because if you got a high stroke machine, if you're careful, you can still get really nice results. But if you got a low stroke machine, you can still make the results. You're just gonna have to put more effort in to get there.
Yep.
So you can achieve even with the needle gauge sizes. You can achieve whatever you want. It just depends on like what you have at hand. As far as your needle gauge size or whatever, and what you're trying to achieve. That's really it.
What are some of your favorite needles you like?
Um, I mean, I use the EQJs. I've been using EQJs for around
Okay.
2 years.
Good.
I've been using them for a long time, but I've used so many of those. I like the Jades. I like Bishop. Obviously, I love Bishop. And I've been recently kind of exploring their needles. For me, I'm the type of person. It's like once I get what I like, this is what I'm going to use. It's like
Oh,
my
I know.
alcohol.
I know all
I
about it.
drink tequila. So I'm going to drink tequila when I go. Doesn't matter. That's what I'm drinking.
I'm a vodka guy, so I
Um,
stick to the vodka. I know. I know what you mean.
can't do the vodka. Can't do the vodka. But yeah. So Jades, is what I've been using for the longest. I've been using Bishop here a lot lately. FYT I used in the beginning, but just some of them they hit nice, but they don't last that long.
No, I'm sure. I'm
And
not.
no
You see
no
my
offense,
rant
no
about
offense
it.
to FYT. I did see it. I did see it, but it's not sure why. But yeah, they it's also your canvas too. If you got a really dry, shitty canvas, you're gonna run through a lot of needles. Doesn't matter if you have the best needles. You
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. You definitely, when someone
know.
comes in, you could tell, hey, man, this is gonna be some good skin. This is gonna be some good shots. But then other people
hmm
come in, it's like, yeah, it might be a blank canvas, but they might have a bunch of sunspots, freckles. Like it's like the pictures. You can still do a great job, but you know damn well the picture's not gonna look as good as if they had clear skin. You know?
I tell them straight up. I tell them straight up. Like if somebody here in Florida, bro, we have so many bald guys are on their boats year round, and it's like,
Oh, they probably got a bunch
hey
of skin
man,
cancer down there.
dude, they have a bunch of skin problems. So I'll tell them like, like honestly, if I straight up say like these red areas, these areas, I'm not gonna be able to hit.
Yeah.
Like the moles, I'm not gonna touch them. But this or that, like so, if you really, really are concerned about it, then you might want to go see a dermatologist to take care of them before we start. So it
100%.
just depends. I explain that to them like that. And some are like, nah, don't worry about it. Just do what you can. And some are like, okay, I appreciate it. I'll
Yep.
come back. And yeah, you might not get that sale right then and there, but when they get their skin in order, if they trusted you from that experience, they're gonna come back to you.
Yep. Agreed.
Mhm.
I've had people who, females who have full on eczema, you know, and their skin's all red patches. And I'm like, look, I can fill in all the areas around it, but these red, you know, these eczema patches, it's not going to absorb the ink. I was like, I can do it. You still got to pay the same price, but you need to understand that. So if you agree, we'll move forward. If not, and they'll be like, okay, do what you can.
A
You
lot
know?
of the things is with, especially with the density treatments, it's the fibers, man. It's the products that they're using. It's all that that's causing that. The fibers, especially, man. The fibers will cause blisters and outbreaks and all types of stuff. And
Yeah, they're not
you
washing them
can
off
put
every day.
you can they're not, or not washing them off good enough, anyways. And then you can put pigment in a red area, but I always tell my clients like it's super unpredictable how it's gonna heal. So like if you really want me to, I'll go in there with the lightest shade, but like it's unpredictable when you put it in that inflamed area. So I don't
Oh,
want to.
yeah, no, I agree.
I'm
Better
I'm
stay away.
transparent with it. I'm pretty transparent with my clients. I'm not. There's trust me. Even as when you starting off doing the business as a service, you obviously have to do your service to make money. But you're like, I'm not building my reputation on that. I want my reputation to know that somebody comes to me that I want to give them the best. So I'm gonna advise them what we got to do, even if I don't see you for another year until you get whatever you got to do taken care
I agree, and I've been in it.
of.
And anybody listening to this SMP artist, it's better to be honest and transparent with the people. Set the right expectation. Yeah, you might want to be like, "Oh, this is a quick sale, or I can make this sale." Fuck that. You know what? Because it's gonna come back to haunt you if you try to
And
just you
if
shortcut
you
it.
never had, if you never got botched, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off neither. But
Go
like,
ahead.
if you never got botched, you're not gonna have that mentality because
Yeah,
you're never gonna see that person again, most likely. So it's like, bye, yeah, you did your get your money, I'll see you later. But if you're somebody who's been botched before, you take it like you don't have that mindset. You're like, man, I don't know when this person's gonna come back, if they ever will, but I don't want them to be in the mirror 2 years from now being like, damn, I regret going to Alex.
I yep, I agree. And then also, you don't want them leaving bad reviews, Google review,
Hmm.
or talking shit
Yeah.
online and some Reddit forum or some shit. You know,
Yeah, man.
you don't want that either because they'll come for you.
Dude, I ain't gonna lie. I talk a lot of shit. I don't talk shit on Reddit. What I do is state facts.
Uh huh.
Like if it,
You
and I
on
don't
Reddit?
mean like,
I'm
well,
glad you're on Reddit. I'm
I'm
on.
on Reddit, yeah, but
Yeah.
like I state like facts. There's people on there saying like when I do solid impressions, like my first sessions. I'm sure you've seen them. They're
Yeah.
like people are like, what the fuck. But if you see the second session after that, it's like, damn. And then the third session is like, okay, like I'm gonna shut the fuck up now. But the first time I posted like that first session on Reddit, people were like, bro, those impressions are way too big, way too this. It's because people think like the smaller, tighter, lighter
They don't
is better.
understand the
They
process.
don't know the science behind scalp micropigmentation, the actual science behind it. So I've corrected many people on that. They're like, "Oh, you're doing like no. This is why it's doing that." And they're like, "Damn." I'm like, "Okay, check back next week when he comes back, and I have healed results, and I'll post it." And then they'd be
Yeah.
like, "Crickets."
But a lot of times though on Reddit, it's not even artists. It's people who are thinking about getting it, and so they're really uninformed.
Right, and that's why I'm there. It's like I'm not on Reddit to be like I know the most, or I'm there to inform the clients. Like
Yeah. Which is good.
this
We
is
need
what
people like you on there saying shit.
yeah, because I'm not telling people like come to me this and like I've referred plenty of other people to other artists that are on there. They're like anybody, I'll comment. Like even on the Facebook forums, dude. I'm like one of the top contributors in all of them because that's where I learned a lot in the beginning. And I've had to kind of pull back a little bit because I'm like a helping person. But like I also hyper focus so much in the beginning that like I banked up a lot of knowledge that's valuable. So sometimes like my good heart, like I want to give people the knowledge. And it's like sometimes it's good to do that, but other situations it's like, no, this person has to go
Gotta figure shit
and
out
work
on your
for it
own.
and figure it out,
Yeah.
because I did. And I paid a lot of money to learn the knowledge or a lot of hours. And it's like I can't just give you the information. Like even if I do have a good heart and I want to see you succeed, like you gotta understand, like it took a lot of effort for me to get the
I
information I have.
completely agree. I completely agree. But for the people who've made it this far into the podcast, we won't clip this part, but could you give a tip on how you would approach a natural hairline?
A natural hairline.
Yeah, making a natural hairline. What do
For
you do?
me, I'm gonna always have the person raise their eyebrows. I don't do the put your hand there and all that
That's
other
the right
stuff.
way
I
to
don't do
do it. Move the
I
muscles.
don't do any of that. So the first thing I'm gonna do, this you don't have to click this one, is I'm gonna find where your sideburns at, go straight up, and to find where their eyebrow tail goes, and kind of with the bridge with their nose, come to that, do on the same side. That's gonna be my points, baseline.
Mhm.
Then I'll find their forehead muscles. Sometimes people's forehead muscles look weird as shit, drawn on there. So then I have a mirror. Like if I turn my camera around, you'll see I have a mirror. So like any barber would do, I look at the hairline, from the mirror, because the mirror is not going to lie. And then it'll tell me this side's higher, this side's lower. But once I get that forehead muscle, I'll kind of go ahead and kind of make it look natural, like a pre-draw. And then I'll look in the mirror and make my adjustments. But really the forehead muscle is the ultimate determining factor. I always tell, because I have a lot of photos of like the afters I've done, and people say, "Oh, I want my hairline like this or like that," and I say, symmetry has its boundaries. It has its limits on how symmetrical, and it's going to be based on your facial muscles. You can't have you laughing and smiling, your forehead's going. You
Yep.
know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you don't want
So,
you don't want the hairline moving when you're making
oh
faces.
yeah, yeah, and also for me, work backwards. If you're doing a natural hairline, don't. It's real easy to overload it going forward. But if you like work more lighter and then get dense as you get further back, that will help you really not add a whole bunch to the
Oh
front.
yeah.
Because then you'll just keep adding, and this side will be too straight, this side will be too low, too nappy. You'll just keep wanting to be like, and you'll end up messing it up.
Yep. Yep. Now,
Yeah.
now, when you trained with Tony, did you end up doing any of the Black Rain, or were you not focused on that?
No, I mean for me it was just I was really focused on dot recall,
Okay.
solid dots. I felt like I have really good pressure, like in control of my own pressure. But like a lot of artists who don't know the fundamentals of SMP, you think like lighter, smaller, better. But like I've seen enough results come back of my own. It's like, man, this guy's hair is overtaking his SMP in half a day. So you have to have a solid
Yeah.
foundation. So that's
Agreed.
what I focused on. But it's funny, when I got back though, I actually did it on my own. Like you said, you're one of those people when you have like an ADHD or something, you like to look, and you learn. So I practiced a lot of the strokes on my own even before going over there, and even when I came back, and I know how to do strokes. It's
Yeah.
just it's only if somebody tells me like, hey, can you do a stroke here or there? It's not. I don't want to put my work on what somebody doesn't want.
Agreed. Agreed.
Mhm.
How many sessions are you typically doing? 3, 4?
Yeah, I would say about three. Like I said, especially when I got back from before going to train with Tony, I think I was just like a lot of artists. I added a lot on session one, but like my work was clean now. Like I will say, my work was clean. My focus on my spacing since day one,
That's
but I added
very important.
a lot of impressions with like a 4 or a 5. You'll just pack it in there and kind of. So it's like it wasn't as strategic. I was trying to finish on the finish. I was trying to focus on the finished results on session one, or having the client feeling like I'm done on session one. Because in America, that's what we care about. If you go any other country, they don't care about it being done on session one. They don't. They know it's like this is not. It's a process. So now that's how I preach. I preach it like, I'm gonna do this on session one. It's gonna be for me to get a gauge for your skin. It's gonna be solid impressions. They're gonna be spaced out. Really consistent. And when you come back, that's when I'm gonna decide on what I want to do, or if I want and how I want to adjust my color, how I want to do this. But I know those impressions are gonna stay. And they're so spaced out that if something say if it was too dark or even too light, there's still so much room for adjustment.
Yes. Yep.
The
Good.
second session, I make it super clean. I really pretty just try to match the hair follicle spacing. And then the third session, I perform coloration, which is what I also learned from Tony too. In coloration, you can consider how I consider it is, you can only feel the gaps so much with solid impression, but it's never going to get off that gray hue that real hair does. Never.
Yeah.
So coloration, you consider painting the background behind the impression, something like that.
Okay.
So I have that's how I work. Spaced out first session, really kind of looks really clean on the second session. Third session is the money session. And then I'll schedule their appointment usually a month after the third session, because that's when their epidermis can go through that shedding cycle.
Yep.
So if anything is lightened up in any areas, I'll hit it up at that session or follow up and at no additional charge. Or that's when I'll get my healed photos too. Yeah, because I
Yeah.
really like to focus on my healed photos.
Good. Good.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I liked your healed photos, and you have you're getting the even with the back. I mean, you look. I could see all of you in this image, but some people they're not able to pull off the back or like the darker background when you're doing the after photos. Yours look great.
I appreciate it. It took a lot of sleepless nights finding out like camera lenses, how to use the camera,
I'm
best lens
still
for
trying
this
to learn,
camera.
dude. It's a pain. I
Dude,
moved my
bro,
whole ceiling
it's
light a couple
hard.
weeks ago, and I'm still cussing.
I've used my I've moved my lights, bro, probably like 15 times something. Even now, like they look good, but they need to come down just a little bit because like I'm still getting that beam a little bit,
Yeah.
not as bad, but they got to come down a little bit. Once they're like instead of right here, then they'll be like right here, much better. And like you said, I do kind of want the backdrop, but then again, if you change the aperture, things like that, you'll focus in on the person, so the background really doesn't even really matter.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just
you
clear
just wanna
clear
clean.
work.
You want it clean in the background pretty much.
Yeah.
Let me ask you one more thing before we start wrapping this up. What's I've heard mixed things about the Florida market. When I was talking to Matt and John, up in New York, they said a lot
Mhm.
of people they're kind of flaky. Now they're talking about more down South Florida, Miami, that area, Fort Lauderdale. You're on the West Coast of Florida. I mean, are you still getting the
North.
same
I'm in the north, like
Northwest?
north. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, like northwest Florida. But no, no. So there's not a lot of artists here. I mean, I wouldn't say there's not a lot of artists in North Florida, but they're not like just SMP artists. They're like I'm a barber and I offer SMP. I do PNU and I offer SMP or whatever. There's just an add-on service for them. So a lot of the times clients will see that in the results. And like I said, they won't see the healed result. I'm pretty big on educating what to look for. Look for zoomed in videos, look for healed results, look for zoomed in healed videos results. Like, so when I'm able to educate the client on that and then they hear about my experience there, they're okay to come to me. And I don't sell myself short. I'd rather lose a sale because I know me, like working really strategically on each session, like I'm gonna take this amount of time. It's not gonna. I'm not. It's not gonna be a 2 hour session. It's just not. It's not how I work. Even if I wanted to, I can't do it, bro. So it's like you're gonna get the time that's required to do a good job. So I'm not gonna do it for $1,500. I'm not doing it for 2,000. I'm not doing it for that price. And if you don't like that, then there's somebody else who will give it to you. But I'm showing you the healed results and I'm telling you why they look like that. So
Oh yeah. Oh,
I'm
I know
trying
all
to
about
I'm
it.
trying to I'm trying to just keep raising the market price here in Panama City. I'm considering training some people around here just to get more exposure. Not really partner with them, but also just get more traction because like I always try to tell other people, with the giving too much information, like if somebody's willing to look, they're gonna find it. There's nothing I can do to stop them.
Yeah.
There's nothing nobody can do to me to stop me from getting better, to keep practicing, to keep learning, to keep researching. There's nothing like I can't do it. So if somebody's gonna come train with me, then I'm gonna give them what I know, and it's up to them to take the knowledge.
Yeah. Yep. And
So
apply the knowledge and then test the knowledge, right? And practice.
exactly. But
Uh
like I haven't had any outside influence over here.
In regards
I'm
to
working with or that I go visit. It's just me here in North Florida. So that everything I'm doing is just me, my client, and you know, me doing the work. It's I don't have a mentor that's like, do it this way, come over here, do this. You know, it's me, my practice, and my client. That's it.
then what's you're gonna be at the meeting of the minds I saw, right? So you're gonna be there. Is that true?
Yeah, I'm gonna be at Meeting of Minds in New
Okay.
York.
Okay, so you'll be at the meeting of my I might be coming. I'm talking to Roz right now, the guy from Team Micro about some stuff and uh I may or may not be there. But if I am, we definitely got to hang out. I'll
Oh
see you.
yeah, for sure, man. You know, I'll have a drink or something. I'm not sure if you drink. Get you
Yeah,
a
yeah.
vodka, maybe
Well,
vodka
Matt
tequila.
Matt has that thing. I think he's having like a little
Oh yeah, the
party
event
thing, so
before. Yeah,
I'll
I'll
be
be at
there.
that. I'll be at that too.
What's your socials and your website? How can people find you?
Yeah, so I need to update these because they're too long. But my social is SMP underscore by underscore Alex underscore Corona. Facebook is Scalp Micropigmentation by Alex Corona. Website is SmpByAlexCorona.com.
Perfect. Hey, Alex, it was great talking to you. You have an incredible story, and I'm really happy for you. You're putting a lot of time, energy, and money behind what you do and taking risks. And I love to see that you're fully dedicated and you're all in. Good shit. You're going to keep growing and making shit better. Stay on here.
Daddy.